We're going
prison
deep.
school through a lens.
We're going
Just because
deep.
we don't want to be like, yo, like, you know, like a standard like shock review. We're like really like
We're
I'm
peeling
really
back the layers
Yeah.
of clothing on this
Yeah.
story. Yeah.
I love it.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Volume 1, the anime and manga podcast where we highlight and discuss new series each week. And today, you degenerates asked for it, and you degenerates are gonna get it. Today, we're talking about Volume 1 of Prison School, which means that my name is Peeping Josh Michaels, and I am joined by...
Mehgan, throw her in the slammer. I hardly knew her. Perrine.
Whoa,
I
that was
just
a long one.
literally came up with that.
That was a long
on the
one, but
spot.
that was a good one.
crazy.
I'm very excited to talk about this series today. It feels like we haven't done a traditional Volume 1 in a while. We're switching a couple things up. Structurally, hopefully, there will be some timestamps down below if you want to jump ahead to any section that we will be talking about today. Prison School, as someone who's been to prison and school, am I right? I was even more excited to read
I've
this.
only been to one of those things.
Well, school
One of
is a
those
prison.
establishments.
Number one, school is a prison, and number
For
two,
creativity.
yeah, for children. And second, it wasn't actually prison; it was county, but close enough.
Pretty close, yeah.
Pretty
You were
close.
still behind bars.
Yeah.
Still ate, bad food.
Burritos, actually.
And you were scared.
LA County burritos that constipate you.
What's the meat situation?
Mystery.
Mystery?
It's a mystery. It's a mystery.
You couldn't
PB and
even-
J's too.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna break it down structurally, and because this was asked for by the people, all we ask from you is that you show some love and support on this video. If this video gets to 200 likes, okay, 200 likes, we will
200.
react to any episode of Prison School. Most, I guess, commented in the comments down below on our second channel, Volume 1 Plus, which if you haven't subscribed to yet, please consider subscribing. Yeah, so if we get it to 200, we'll react to any episode.
Woo! And comment as well.
Yeah, comment which episode you
which
want us
episode.
to react to. And any other comment, just comment to comment, whatever. Anyway, so how we're going to be breaking it down is mangaka, story, characters, art, and final thoughts. First, let's start with mangaka. The mangaka of this is Akira Hiramoto, who actually, I didn't know this, but wrote many other manga, but specifically one that really piqued my interest about a blues singer. It's a series called Me and the Devil Blues. And it's based on a real live blues musician who there's little information about, but apparently people believed that he made a deal with the devil on a crossroads, and
That's what the song is about.
about the guy.
About the devil song.
Yeah. I
Deal
mean,
with the devil. That one.
is that Devil Went Down to Georgia?
Yeah.
Maybe it is about that guy. But it's a crazy story. And the real guy's wife and child, I think unborn child, died, and people said that was the price he had to pay because he couldn't play blues at all before this, and then after this happened, he became a sensation. Pretty crazy. So this mangaka has range.
Yeah. So what does people do today?
Right. What's with the Illuminati, Beyonce, Jay-Z, what they what they have all done, made deals with the devil.
Yeah. But that's interesting. I know I was just looking into him too, and I am super excited for hopefully an English translation or release of the Super Ball Girls manga that he's come out with. He's doing the art, and the mangaka, which is Yuki, is a story that he's going to be doing Blue Lock. So the Blue Lock story, mangaka for the story, and then the artist, obviously Akira, is doing the art for Super Ball Girls, which I think I'd seen a panel of before, and it looks really interesting, but it does have that really surreal, unreal vibe about it.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot in this manga too. But before really reading any of what I had read, I was just curious to see when stories like this or manga like this, are very ecchi oriented. I always like look up the mangaka, like anything like about them, like what did they do before, or what is like their reasoning behind making a story like this. And I was reading this like really crazy interview with him just explaining that like when he was in high school, it was like a thing where like he just kind of felt like there was a lot more girls than there were guys, and he always felt like he was just like surrounded by girls and kind of felt like outcasted, not just because they were doing that, just because it's like they're just hanging out with their friends. And that vibe is definitely,
which to a high school boy is a personal attack. Exactly.
Yeah. So, you know, he had mentioned in the interview like just his experience and how he felt. And he said, here, I have it right here. He said, for an adolescent boy, these things can stand tall like the walls of a prison. Prison school is a world where those frustrations are caricatured. Instead of escaping, maybe we should tear down the wall between men and women. It becomes more and more interesting the more you read into it seriously, into prison school. And I was like, that's very interesting, because like when you really look at it, it's like women are just people. And
what?
Like, yeah, I know. I didn't want to be the first one to tell you, but women are just people. And boys, until, I mean, some of them never learn, but, you know, until you kind of grow up and realize that you see them as like these like objects or like something you can never reach because they're just, I don't want to approach them because they're just different. And it's like, but if you just approach one, you just talk. A similar interest, like the sumo thing, like they were just talking.
Yeah.
And that would like fed into that too. And he said this too in the interview, like men are servants to women's sex appeal, and women are more dignified and strong than men because they're not deceived by men's sex appeal. And I was like,
that's deep.
That's deep. And I was reading all of this, and he talks about too like how this manga is like based on Cool Hand Luke, which was like an older movie with like Paul Newman, and it like deals with like a prison breakout, and how the two, like the guard is like really sadistic, like the warden's really sadistic, and then like one of the other guys is like, you know, envious of his like unbreakable will, which we'll probably come into later. But I was like, dang, like it's really all planned out. And the way he was talking about it's not just like, I want to draw boobs and ass and I want to draw this. It was like, no, I'm trying to like show people what this is about. I'm like, I respect it. I respect him a lot. I was like, I was not expecting to read that interview and think anything of it, but I was like, wow, he's actually spitting kind of facts.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I even got the sense of, you know, as I was reading it, that, you know, he isn't just telling a story about hot girls and fan service. Like there is meaning there. And you know, it's mentioned too, like being a high school boy. This is me getting real deep, okay?
Oh, God.
Trying to match that level of deep right now. But you know, being a high school boy oftentimes feels like you're a prisoner to your own biology, okay? Not to mention school, like we mentioned earlier, being a literal prison. And yeah, I got the sense that, you know, even though there is fan service included, it is purposeful fan service because it almost feels like it's through the eyes of our protagonist, who is a horny boy. And I really did get, you know, a slightly deeper meaning from everything I was reading than just like titties and ass and, you know, et cetera, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
Kind of surprised me.
Yeah. I definitely am fortunate to have read the interview before I read it. Because I just had an idea of just like, this is going to be an ecchi, like not as much as, I want more than Kakiguri, because Kakiguri's like not super, super ecchi, but it does have like elements of like, you know, Aigo faces when they make a good gamble, you know, that type of thing.
Right.
But this feels, yeah, there's way more meaning. And it's not like a thing where we're talking about it and we're like, yes, actually, there's more meaning into the nipple shot in the seventh chapter. No, it's like actually like, like because these guys did something bad and they're paying for it. And
because like I said, purposeful, there's a point to it being in this story. You know, we've all, as fans of anime and manga, seen like fan service really shoehorned into some like weird situations. You know, it's an anime about a boy working at a convenience store, and you know, it's just full of shots of his coworker like bending over to stock the shelves, and there's just like panties when they're talking about like, You know, they're talking about inventory. I mean,
talking about inventory. You're like, yeah, my mom died.
And he's like, I can give you some inventory.
Yeah.
Yeah. In his head. No, in his head, he's like, I can't. How am I supposed to stock the shelves when
I'm distracted?
Yeah, when her whole, you know what's out.
Yeah.
You know? But it just makes no sense for it to be there. Everybody likes to talk about Fire Force, and the one character in Fire Force who just like is always, her clothes are always falling off, and it makes
they're being burned. It's important to the story.
Right.
You fire.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Clothes are burned off.
Right. Stupid. I'm freaking stupid. But this is not that. This is like very relevant to being a high school boy, you know, at the height of your body, telling you that you're not the one in control.
I mean, they really are prisoners to just like women's bodies. Like that's all they think about. That's all they make their decisions on. And to have it like, you know, side by side with these like strong, like really badass like female characters that are like, I'm not even interested really in that right now.
Right.
It's like crazy. And I feel like it's so real. Not to say that there aren't like some, you know, horny girls out there, not to say that, but it is just like so different, I feel like. And then you hit a certain age where you're like, this isn't as important to me as it used to be anymore. Or you don't. Or you don't.
Or you don't.
It might be the scarier
and there's
reality.
A resurgence of these men who are, you know, making a lot of money off a lot of sad individuals.
Yeah.
And a lot of these sad individuals have been brainwashed by these, frankly, losers. Who are telling them that, you know, they got to be alpha males and they got to do this. But the only way they can do it is by subscribing to this such and such a program or doing this or that. Like, meanwhile, these dudes are getting arrested and all kinds of, it's a wild world we live in. And I feel like men have never been more lost.
Mm.
And I feel like this makes prison school more relevant than ever.
Great point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. These men that Andrew Tate's the fresh and fit, they're prisoners
of their own mind.
Of their own mind and to the desires to the desires of women and to women's, you know, I guess just to women.
Just to women in general.
Who they have objectified and turned into, you know, something larger than life.
They're just so obsessed. Like, just do you. Just do you. Like, why do you even have to include that into the equation? Like, why can't people just be single? You know what I mean? Like, why are you so obsessed? It's like an obsession. Like, just, again, they're people. I know it's crazy.
I know.
I know it's a hard concept to wrap around. But, again, this mangaka, I feel like he gets it.
I do too. I really do too.
I feel like it's not just another excuse to draw these girls naked. It's not just like, there's something deeper to it. And reading this the article made me be like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Comment below if we're completely wrong and we missed. You're like, oh, by the way, actually, this mangaka did horrible things, because it happens.
Yeah, it happens. Sadly, it happens.
More than you would like to think. But yeah, let us know. But yeah, that was just interesting.
Yeah, that's some stuff about the mangaka. I guess moving on to the story, which before we do, I'd like to give a little synopsis. And, of course, today we're going to be talking about the first volume. There are omnibus versions of this story, but we're not going to be talking about that because an omnibus includes many volumes. We're going to be talking about the first volume, which is chapters 1 through 8. And if you still don't know, if you clicked on this, you don't know anything about prison school, then allow me to read a little synopsis. So, Hachi Mitsu Academy, once an all-girls school, has become co-ed. And teen Kiyoshi is one of the 5 boys to enroll. When he is caught peeping, Kiyoshi is sent to the school's prison where his punishment is carried out. Beautiful. Beautiful setup.
Beautiful setup. Didn't know how the prison was going to come into play because I didn't read the synopsis until now, before I read it. Mm-hmm. So I was like, how is that? Is it already a prison? You know, I was very confused. But they tied it in. Obviously, it's a crazy concept, but it kind of is.
Yeah,
works.
I mean, in the story, they say that it is a long-standing tradition at this school. There's some twists and turns throughout where we find out that even the teachers are on board with what's happening, and the chairman of the school, we find out, is even related and the father of the president of this like underground, what are they called? The underground like student body or
student body, student council. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, student body. You know? So let's start talking about the story.
Yes.
Megan.
Sure.
These 8 chapters, taking out everything else, the story alone. What were your thoughts on these 8 chapters?
I liked the build up to the mystery of what like the flyer situation was.
I like that too.
Because at first, you're kind of under the impression that like no one is talking to them because it's been an all-girl school for a long time, and I feel like you go to an all-girl school for the reason it being all girls. So I feel like that was the reason why they were being like avoidant to the guys that just came into the school. But then you realize, no, there's like a flyer going around. It says if you talk to me, you're gonna go to prison. So I was like, that's pretty crazy. But I did like the build up to that. I don't know, besides like the whole breakout thing that's going to happen, I don't know where it could go after that. Like if they do break out, they're just going to get more sentence. Like I don't know what.
Because as it stands now, they're going to be in there for a month. But if they try to escape or break any other rules, then that sentence will be prolonged more and more each time. So already at 8 chapters in, I think they're, a couple of days, 10 days or something into their sentence. So yeah, it does, kind of beg the question, well, what happens when they get out? But I do think that they're not going to get out. Something's going to happen during this escape and it's going to get prolonged. But is it just going to be prolonged the entire series? Because this series is not short.
I know. I was looking, it's like published from like 2011 to 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Like it ran a long time. So I'm really not confused, but like just wondering where it's going to go, because I don't know how interesting or how much more interesting is going to be if they're just in prison the whole time. Like, I don't know what the stakes are. I don't know. And at what point are they just going to say like, I'll call my parents and let them know I peeped. I want to get the hell out of here. Because they're like using that against them. But like, how much more like sadistic or like horrible can this prison really, really, really like build up? Like how much more can they take?
Well, you have to remember that outside of our main character Kiyoshi, the other guys like it.
They like it.
They love it.
Well, I got that impression when they first said that, and they kept saying that, but then another character was introduced and they're like, we don't like it anymore. And even
but that's how you know they really like it.
They're just saying that.
Yeah.
Guys say the opposite of what they want.
Yeah, it's all part of the charade, it's all part of the dance of seduction. They pretend not to like it because that's that elevates the fantasy, But if they start going like, if they genuinely don't like it, I don't know. Then they I would think that they would call their parents, like you said, at one point where they just be like, yeah, Mom, I peeped. Sorry, I'm 16. Okay, I peeped. All right.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Just the whole setup of, obviously, I'm like, yeah, no shit, they're gonna do this. Like it's classic girls in a lot of girls in a place anime trope where it's like, we're gonna peep on them. But I did like the inclusion of like this guy that's like really conflicted. He's like, I like this girl in my class and I do want to see her naked, but I don't want everyone else to see her naked. And it's just this weird thing where it's like, so you're okay with if she wasn't, you're okay with it when she does leave? And he's like, yeah, let's go. And it's like once you again, like it's so much deeper because like he actually has a connection with this girl, so he sees her differently from all the other girls. But if he didn't know her, they would just be grouped in all together.
Right.
And I was like, that is the root. Yeah. That's so messed up.
Yeah.
And it's like this thing where it's like, this is mine, dibs. You can't see, that's mine. That one's mine.
Sure.
It's not like actual person.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that aspect of it.
It's real.
It's real.
Yeah, because how the story starts is him, and his friends and his group of friends are all different degrees of sad, They're all odd and very socially awkward and frankly, the most I feel neat and perverted you can be. and they're in this all girls school. They get caught peeping, like you said. But right before that, our main character actually establishes a connection, which is sort of beyond him, with this girl in his class over a sumo wrestler eraser that he drops on the floor out of embarrassment, rushes to get. She sees, she has the same one. They both like sumo. They have a common interest, and they decide they're going to go on a date. That leads us into like the plan to peep, which ends up being sort of like a heist, essentially. They're all dressed in all black. They lower a phone down a rope, and it's very intense. But I like that it establishes in the very beginning this main character, our main character, having a real connection with a woman. Like if he would have just been someone like his friends who had just continued to deify and objectify women, then him being thrown in prison wouldn't have really set him apart from his friends. But what sets him apart is he has a genuine connection. And maybe even though he still at this point isn't very, him having a common interest with somebody doesn't make him a saint. Doesn't make him
no.
Because
he's still doing this. Yeah. He's still doing this, but it does set him apart from like taking. I mean, he does just want to like go on a date with this girl, but like actually talking to them, because he says like I'm gonna talk to one. Like I'm set apart from you guys. Like watch it, and then he doesn't do it. That was him, right?
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah. So he already has that like confidence, and I feel like if he just talked to more, if they all just talked to more girls, they would realize like, oh, these are just people like me and you.
Right.
Got it. And I think that they will start to learn that because of the conditions that they're put in by the student council. But yeah, anyway, they do the peep thing with the phone. And we'll get into the art later because it's like wild.
Yeah.
But he ends up dropping the phone and he goes in and the girl's there. And she doesn't have her contacts in, so she thinks that he's also a girl. That was crazy.
That was really crazy.
And he just like strips and goes into. I'm like, how did no one see this man walk in?
Yeah, it's a room and a shower full of high school girls, and nobody noticed him.
Nobody noticed him, and he just sits down.
They all took their contacts out.
Yeah, he sits down and starts washing, and then the other guys just think like, oh, this is what we're doing, and they all get naked.
Yeah, they all get naked,
like
which nothing is more bizarre than a group of men getting naked together.
I mean, there's a lot of things that young boys do together that they shouldn't do together.
Unless that's your preference, and
yeah, for sure,
and then you're just having a party.
Yeah.
But like nothing weirder than a group of sad straight men getting naked together, I should say.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things that like young boys that I found out that a lot of people have done, and like. It's just
the things that young boys do for camaraderie together is absolutely insane. None of which I have partaken in, but I've heard. It's
pretty common, and
I've
like,
heard.
Oh yeah, for sure, I did that. I go,
and I guess not that I've ever really taken it to an extent, but I think we've talked about it before. You're specifically talking about having heard, men or young boys at the time would like jerk off together or whatever. Never done that, but of course we've all had friends. I feel like that show us pornography. And, most of the time it's to shock. It's not like you never show your male friend a video in an attempt to like arouse him. Yeah. Like you're showing him this video to either like gross him out, to shock him.
No.
You're not showing it to be like, dude, check this out.
No,
this is good. This is actually good.
Josh, but that's what happens. That's exactly what's happening now in this story. Yeah. They're all camaraderie. Like they're getting together to all look at pictures together of these girls in the bathhouse. And they're all that's the whole point, is to be aroused.
Right.
It's not like this is a fun game. Like, no, that's what they're doing. Yeah. So it's like literally, that's it.
Yeah. I do want to meet somebody though who has sincerely done that. Like, no, I sent a video to my friend because I knew he'd like it.
That's what. Yes.
No, I know. Anyway, no.
It's getting too dark.
No, I know. It's beyond me.
You're gonna go to prison.
Yeah. I'm already in prison. What are you in for? I'm in for
no comment.
Oh, damn. Yeah, that's when they that whole scene was crazy. And I do think that he was there in that bathhouse. Yes, his friends sort of They sort of all get in on it, I guess, because they think, yeah, this is what we're doing. But
like,
he
yeah,
was
this guy.
panicking. He
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
trying to further it. He was looking for a window to escape and just wanted to play along so that he wouldn't get caught.
And that's the thing that sets him apart, too, because like he wasn't even like, he was just worried about not getting caught. He wasn't looking around the room like,
well, to be fair,
yeah, I'm in here.
Because he knew that by getting caught, it would, I think he cared less about the consequences from the school, but more so the consequences that it meant with Chio, I believe is her name, this girl. Because if she would have found out, then she would have never wanted to talk to him or see him ever again. And that's what he was really afraid of.
Yeah.
But, the guys on the roof get caught, causing all the girls to flee the bath. He thinks he gets away. He's approached in an alley by a mysterious girl who ends up being the president of this student body, underground student body.
They put him on pitchfork. They put him on freaking
public
stakes,
humiliation.
Public humiliation, tied, freaking swatting them. Like, yeah. And we get to meet Maiko and I forget her name. Maiko, Hana, and Mari. Mari's the president. Maiko is the vice president, and Hana's the secretary. This is the main character that I knew of Prison School.
The vice
hair.
president more than the president.
Yeah. White hair, yitties out.
Yeah. Huge.
Whips.
Gigantic.
Whips, yeah.
Moist. Shiny.
Shiny, yeah.
Shiny.
But yeah. And we can go into the characters. I mean, we kind of been talking about it. Yeah. But yeah, these three characters I've seen before, cosplays of, and just like random stuff. And the main cast of guys, like I'm not completely sold on yet. Like their personalities like shine sometimes,
right? But
I'm sure as the story goes further, they'll all have their own little moments.
They'll become, I think, more distinct from one another outside of just how they look.
For sure,
because right now they are just like super horny dudes that just kind of look different. One has a hood on all the time and coughs up blood. One has a big head and a small face. Another one is actually a pretty, I guess conventionally attractive dude with like blonde slick back hair.
Yeah, it's Andre's the small face, Joe's the hoodie. Gakuto, I think, is the glasses. Shingo is the slick back hair. And then the main character, Kiyoshi.
The guy with the glasses scares me the most.
He's scary, yeah. He's scary.
Scares me the most.
He's the one who started the whole thing. He's the one who said, I have a great idea, you guys. Get this.
Right.
This is what we're going to do.
And I guess before we go into character, I do want to talk about character and art. And just for the sake of having clearer timestamps, want to just get through the rest of the story, which is don't
what?
Which is that now that they've been put into prison, actual prison in school, they have to do work and essentially like community service kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Our main character tries to protect them by jumping in front of them and stopping them from being whipped and punished, only later for the whole group to turn on him and be upset and mad at him.
Yeah, don't talk to me anymore on the field tomorrow. Why? Yeah, me either. No, don't talk to us. Why? Because I wanted to lick her shoes. You could have gave me like 2 more seconds.
Yeah.
We want to be hit by her. Don't stop this great opportunity from happening again, you asshole.
Yeah.
And then they realize it's like, oh yeah, damn, these guys are way far gone. And I think this was like the clear distinction of like, I do not want to be grouped in with these guys. I have a date. I have a girl I want to see. These guys are sad.
Yeah.
These guys are gross. And he kind of realized that in that moment too. I was like, that's funny. Because he's like, I don't like this shit. As much as it's like, oh, it's a girl. It's like I don't like this.
Yeah, he's like,
mommy.
I'm not that freaky, dude.
Yeah,
I'm a freak. I'll peep on a girl in a bathhouse, but I'm not trying to get stepped on by one. I think that's where he's at.
That's where he's at. Yeah.
But and what I really do like is in the first half of these 8 chapters in this first volume, it's a lot of setting up their situation, this group of characters, sort of the world and position that they're going to be in. But the second half starts to play on the tropes of like other prison types of stories.
Yeah.
And by the end of the first volume, we start working towards like a prison break, which is actually done really well and plays on, like I said, again, like it's not just, it does at times feel like a very real, like prison break moment, even though its setting is kind of absurd. That it's in a high school.
Well, even showing their like day-to-day activities of like waking up, cleaning, attending class, history class, getting some fresh air outside, tending to the garden. Like it's just so funny. They have just like a clear day-to-day, just like schedule, and it is just like school, but you're being beat if you don't get everything right or correct. Yeah.
And like I said, most of them love it. He doesn't. His crush there's still hope for him to make his sumo date that he has made with his crush, because one, she doesn't believe that because of how he was caught. He wasn't caught on the roof with the rest of them. He was caught in the alley, and even one of his friends kind of tried to cover for him, the guy with the glasses, and
which
said,
was like lit.
Yeah, crazy. And he said, everybody is here. Nobody else is involved. He was found out anyway and still punished. So she believes, based off what he said, that her new sumo friend is innocent and has just been kind of roped in with his friends. And he has hope that he can still make it to the sumo date because he finds out that they get breaks on the weekend, which doesn't last very long and isn't something he can hope for long at all, because that is ripped away from them as soon as it's given to them.
Yeah.
But that's also where we find out that like the headmaster, or what do you call it? The
headmaster of the school.
Headmaster sounds too Harry Potter. I don't know.
Principal.
But there's a chairman. That's what they call it.
Chairman.
At least in this story, in this translation, chairman. We find out that the chairman is the father of the president, and he's a pretty gross man too.
Bro, I mean, again, like that was such a cool scene because, like, I don't know, like you see like these guys are like, you're nasty, but then like if you have like a dad or like a brother, like they were probably that way too.
To an extent, in varying degrees, yeah, sure.
But you kind of forget. You're like, oh yeah, you're a man.
Yeah.
Like you again, then she just kind of like, yeah, this is why men are all nasty. Like her own dad. Like, and what are you doing at school looking that shit up too?
That's what I'm saying. It's not gross. It's not gross that he was looking up Latina ass, Latina anal. Okay.
Ew!
That's what it said. That's what it said.
That was a translation error.
Was it really? Because that was the only right thing
my God.
I read in this first volume. No, that's not what makes him gross. Do you. But don't do you at work. Don't do you at school. And especially if the school you run is a high school.
And especially if your daughter is in the student council.
Yeah, don't
attending the same school.
That's what makes it.
And leaving it like open.
Right. That's what makes it gross. And I know what some people might be thinking. They might be thinking, Josh, didn't you recount a story one time where you, got up to something during a break, a work break? And to that I say, yes, but I left the premises. I drove to a completely abandoned sector of the parking lot, far from any civilization, and did what my body required me to do. And also, I was a lot younger, and I'm not proud of it. I was also a prisoner of my own biology, much like the characters in this story. But I wasn't in there like, on the premises doing this thing. So, just want to say that. I just want to get that out there in case anybody was wondering. Any comments, Megan?
No comment. No comment.
Anyway, it seems like it really got to you. I'm sorry to bring that back up. But...
Nasty.
Yes, nasty.
Locked in frickin' prison.
Yes, I was. Not for that, though. For not paying parking tickets.
No, it's for that.
And
Two separate
driving
occasions.
on a suspended license.
Caught.
Anyway, but yeah, he's watching it at school. His daughter finds out. She says, "Oh, men are the freaking same, dude." Because he's saying, hey, I know this is a tradition. I know this is what we do, but maybe let's give him some slack.
No, we're not gonna cut you slack.
Yeah,
we're not gonna. We do it too much.
Mm-hmm. Right.
She's standing up for all of the girls at the school. No, sorry,
Absolutely.
not here. If we have the power, we're not gonna allow this behavior to happen.
Absolutely.
Boys will be boys. Yeah, no, fuck that. Be a human being.
That's what she says. And she makes her own damn rules and pretty much says, weekends, gone.
Good.
This leads Kiyoshi, yeah, our main character. This leads him to spiral. And now he realizes that he won't be able to make his date. So he pretends to be on his best behavior while chipping away, taking out the trash and chipping away at the wall slowly but surely every single day so that he can escape and go on this sumo date with Chiyo. She even sees him, and this is where it starts to really feel like a prison story because, she's like meeting him, giving him messages, throwing pieces of paper down at him.
And there's a little mirror. She's like shining light at him, and then she sends it over, and yeah, he ends up being like, yes, I'm still going to make it. Like, this is lit. I didn't get caught. She still thinks I'm, like, squeaky clean. And then his friend finds the note and was like, you're planning to break out. And you weren't going to tell us.
Yeah.
And because they're all shared, like, if he gets caught, then they all get, a higher stay. A higher, I don't know what a sentence. Yeah.
That for sure is one of the reasons, I believe, because if he gets caught, then they all suffer the consequence. To what degree are they enjoying it? Because like Mehgan said, another character, Hana, was introduced, and they didn't really like her too much because she wore sweats underneath her skirt. So there was nothing to look at, according to them. But also, I think that this is an age where you're at, where when you're friends, and this isn't universal to everybody, but this is an age where when your friends hook up with somebody, you're not happy for them. You're jealous. You're full of jealousy. You're mad. It's holding up a mirror to you and to your lack of.
Your lack of riz.
Your lack of riz.
It's funny.
So I think they're pissed for both reasons. They've been betrayed.
Well, yeah, he hasn't told them anything about this little Chiho experience.
Don't call her that.
This little Chiho. No, he hasn't told him anything. Chiyo.
Right.
Chiyo.
I like it.
Chiyo. I mean, I don't know. I really want her to find out what he did.
Oh, yeah, too. There was a moment where he was climbing up a tree to put a bird back in the nest. And she's like, see, a pervert wouldn't do that. A pervert wouldn't give a fuck about a little bird and put him back in his nest. People who like sumo are good people. He has a moment to tell her the truth, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
Which I want her to find out the truth. But I also really understand why he is not telling her.
Well, yeah, because then she wouldn't talk to him.
But also, like, that is just such a awful thing to have to admit to being a part of.
He shouldn't have done it.
He should not have done it.
He literally had a choice to make.
He should not have done it.
Chose his own fate.
But his friends, not to make excuses for him because he was very excited. But his friends did pressure him to really, really, really be a part of it. Peer pressure,
You can avoid it.
You can.
It's avoidable.
It is avoidable. I've watched a lot of movies about it or, little after school specials about it. No. And that is where the first sort of 8 chapters end. But now let's talk about the characters more specifically, and maybe that will bring us back to some other moments throughout these 8 chapters that involve them. So out of all the characters, like we said, we have the boys, and then we have a couple of the student council or the student body that we meet, the president, the vice president, and the secretary. Out of all of these people, we had mentioned that our least favorite and most terrifying was the guy with the glasses.
Yeah.
But what are some of your other, I guess, did you have any favorite characters? Were there any characters that were a highlight for you?
I mean, I guess I did like Hana, which her introduction was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I always like looks can be deceiving type person. Like, she's probably really sweet to everyone else at the school.
Yeah.
But when she gets a little, taste of like beating the shit out of people in the prison, like, or I guess like because it's always been an all girls school, right? So do they give this treatment to the girls too in the prison? Like, I wonder. Because that would be pretty crazy. And if we see that, that'll be
progressive.
Crazy. Because maybe they're just going super overboard because they don't even want them there to begin with. Because this is the first year it's happened. Look what happens when we let freaking boys into the school. First thing they do is peep.
First thing,
like
day
one. Day one, like they have no self-control. And I think that's why the daughter is really like pushing her dad to like, why did you even do this? Why are we even agreeing? Why did we agree to this at all? And I think they're like taking advantage of that. So be like, tell all your friends not to come back here. Because once they get out, they're probably going to transfer for sure.
Yeah.
But I liked Hannah and all of the moments with her. Like the 4-leaf clover bit, I think was one of the funniest. That's when I laughed out loud, actually. Because she's like, was there 3 clovers? And you're like, actually, we represent 4 pieces of clovers. Funny. And then she just kicks the shit out of them. And she's just like, no, you don't, you pieces of trash. But yeah, I think she's my favorite.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that moment too. For me, of the boys, like not much separates them other than like aesthetically at this point in the story. Like we mentioned, I do think they're going to go on to have their own personalities that separate them as we go farther. But right now, they're all kind of the same. They do look crazy. All of them look crazy. I do particularly like the guy with the very small face. Whose name I also have written down
Andre.
here too. Reiji or
Reiji Andre. Small face.
The hood guy, his gag where he's just sort of coughing all the time is pretty funny too.
Like why?
Yeah. He's got some sort of stomach disease, which that isn't funny, but the fact that he's just like always just coughing up blood and no one seems to like, everybody's sort of just, no one's shocked by it anymore in his friend group. They're like, yeah, he just does that. But I do like the main character, and of all of the underground student body members, the vice president is the one that's clearly more of the dominatrix into the masochism. The Hana is, like you said, she is the more, I guess, she has more of a sweet side, but the moment you cross her is when she also seems like she's athletic, and I think they even mentioned that too.
She's like she's into karate. She does karate. So she's definitely like packs more of a punchy.
Yeah. And then you got the student body president, and she seems like she's a woman on a mission.
Yeah.
To bring justice and really to all mankind. She is, it seems like a character that I really like her a lot because she is sort of, she's harsh and maybe mean, but not.
She's just matter of fact.
And that's what it is. She's very matter of fact and very intense while not being overly intense. Just something about her character design, her presence, her just in any scene, she does have this intensity to her, but it's not in a in your face kind of way.
With the other like the other 2 characters,
exactly. She does seem like someone who is more on a mission, and I like the relationship with him and her dad, and her discovering that her dad is just as gross as every other man, and that not surprising her. That just sort of like reinforcing everything she already believes about
literally men. And reinforcing everything she believes about them, and also the conversation, like you said before, them talking about like, it's fine, little slap on the wrist, just let him go, don't be too harsh on them. And it's like, okay, but you're not the one being peeped on. That's the whole point.
Right.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Like, you're not the one constantly in fear of this thing. Like, we have to deal with it.
Yeah, and at the same time, not to get too off topic, I guess, but this is very on topic. Yeah, I mean, I think it's so incredibly hard for men to understand because in their world, I feel like most men would not be bothered by that. They would want that. They would on the very opposite. They want that in their fantasy world. They can only hope and dream that would happen to them. And of course, this isn't all men. This is not a generalization, but that's why for most it is hard to even like to even understand because they just live in a completely different world. It's not an invasion of privacy to them. It's the beginning of a porn.
Yeah. It's this fantasy of like what women are. But again, like all these characters, like command the female characters command a presence. It's not just fan service to be fan service. And not knowing that, obviously, before I read it, I was like, oh, this is just a anime manga about, yiddies and booty.
Yeah.
It's just
and the P word too.
And the P word, yeah. Okay, I was like, which P? Okay, that they both start with P, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's like another word for it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Again, my expectations for like what they're actually like doing in the grand scheme of things, I was like, oh, that's pretty tight. I like it. I just don't know where they could go. I don't know how much they can evolve,
Yeah, I would say that, to put a bow on the character portion of this discussion, the character who grabbed me the most, and in terms of just like made me the most interested in them going forward, was the president. I do want to see where her story goes. I do want to learn more about her and just see kind of what she gets up to.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving on to art.
Oh yeah. Oh,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, Mari. She like controls crows or some shit. She's a crow user.
Well, that's the also crazy part about the story that we haven't talked about. But it is, everybody has their kind of thing. One of them's called like Hana's the 4-leaf clover. The president is a controller of crows. It seems, which is another reason why I'm like, I need to know more about this.
Yeah.
This person.
But yeah, I just wanted to throw that up for her. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, now to talk a little bit about the art. I absolutely was blown away, and not for you freaking perverts out there, dude. Not for the reason that you think. For that reason and many other. Just kidding. Not that reason. Just for the reason that it was actually incredible. The art was so good. I would even liken it, and this might be crazy, you tell me, to the caliber of art that you see in like Death Note. Something about the way that Akira draws people in this more realistic way than other manga, on top of these like extra moments of realism when a character is shocked or looking at something.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. It reminded me of like almost like Oyasumi Poon Poon, of like that like realism and like absurdity, and the woman, like he draws women. In that interview I was reading, he just like spends so much time drawing them. And you could feel that because they just command like a presence, and they're just so like powerful, and they just speak so much without saying anything when they're on like the page. And it's really dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the art really, really, really blew me away. I love that he's still able to play with the comedic moments.
Yeah.
And for them to not be any less funny, but also to bounce back between like, the standard art style of the story and these super like hyper realistic, not at all like this, but to a similar degree, like in SpongeBob when they cut to those like close-up shots and he's like really detailed and really
so
gross.
Nasty. The glasses guys gets it like the worst.
Even in that last panel.
Oh my god,
of the 8th chapter,
terrifying. He looks so scary.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny. Like even I think there's a panel too where he's like on the floor, or someone's on the floor like being stepped on, and it's like everything else is like traditional, and then it's just like this drastic, like dark, like saturated, like face sweating, and I'm like, ugh.
And that's what it is too. I mean, the shading for sure, the lighting for sure, the intensity. I always love when I feel like a mangaka is drawing through a camera lens. Some of these panels have like a fisheye sort of kind of distortion to them, with very intense shading.
Yeah. Well, he said that too in the interview. He did say as well that like Hollywood cinema was like a big inspiration, for this manga specifically, because already based off of like kind of loosely that Prison Break movie. And he said, and I could totally see that, and I love when mangaka do that. I mean, obviously Fujimoto, but that's what I think really shocked me. And even again, when we're talking about the art, the character designs, which I guess could be talked about in the character portion or in the art portion, but the design of the characters, like I said, while their personalities might not differentiate them a lot at this point,
their designs really do, and their designs are all just like very, very cool. Like even though they're scummy, shitty, gross guys, they kind of, some of them, like the guy, the guy in the hood. And I really do like the guy with the small face, dude. I think it's so funny, and the character designs I think are so incredibly unique and really, really, really cool. And they all sort of you can tell that they all sort of like represent like a type of guy. And it's done very, very well. On top of that, but even like you were saying about the women seeming very powerful and commanding like a presence, I also think that when there is nudity or anything like that, like sure, it's fan servicey to a degree, but with a purpose. And even in those moments, I don't feel like it's ever like too much. Like, you know, it's kind of a lot sometimes when you draw things like extra drippy or extra, you know what I mean? You could there's a level of detail because in the panels and the chapters that we read, like every detail wasn't exactly always drawn in. Like there's a shot where he falls from the tree and sees Hana.
Oh God!
While she's peeing in the woods. But even that, like it wasn't like every detail. The shape is there, the realism is there. You get it. But I don't know. There was something still like not like overly fan servicey about it, even though it was like an ass, a bare ass. I don't know. I thought that.
But yeah, even when they're in the shower, it's not like they're like posing,
right?
Like posing different in like fan service, and they're like, oh my god, like she was just pissing.
She was pissing.
Yeah, it's not like she was like full frontal. Like, you know, I could totally see that being a thing. Like, just the pose is definitely different, and like things that are sexualized that they're seeing as sexual things, but really aren't. Like girls doing gym.
And they're not even, yes.
That's the point.
Yes, because even in that panel of them, you know, these women exercising for PE or whatever, they're not really doing anything crazy.
No.
They're doing exercises.
Yeah. But they just see everything sexual.
Yes.
That's why, like, the peeing, like, I mean, he didn't want to do that. It just kind of happened. Classic anime. But, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're
really looking at
going
prison
deep.
school through a lens.
We're going
just because
deep.
we don't want to be like, yo, like, you know, like a standard like shock review. We're like really like
I'm peeling back the layers of clothing on this story. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah. I just again want to say the art was absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. And I'm excited to react to the anime to see how they were able to adapt that.
Yeah, even looking at this picture,
looking at this, it looks
they
fantastic.
look really like yassified. All of the guys look so yassified. Like he looks too beautiful. Like you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't like he looks too good. You know, I don't
not
believe
as scary.
it.
Yeah,
not as scary. Everyone just looks a little, I mean, he's funny, but yeah.
I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. I guess that brings us to sort of the end. We've gone through mangaka story, characters, art. Now we are at our final thoughts. So Megan, now that we've gone through everything, what are your final thoughts on the first 8 chapters, the first volume of Prison School?
I think it was paced really well. I think also at the end of the first volume, like grabbing the reader and putting that, you know, breakout, like this is what we're doing now after the first volume was really, really done well. And it makes me want to keep reading it because I mean, I just don't know where they're going to go. Like, are they just going to be in prison or some, you know, what's going to happen? Like, if the student body like find out that like Chio is like coordinating with this guy, will she be thrown in prison? Like, because it is against the rule. He said any of the female students cannot talk to the guys because they will be thrown in prison. So like, will more guys get transferred in? Will some girls go? Like, there's so many like variables that could happen that I'm like really curious about. And I mean, yeah, I really think that like opening my eyes to like reading that interview and like hearing from the man himself, like this isn't just a story about, like we said, just like fan service, dominatrix shit. It's like actually like putting a bigger light on these like issues between men and women. Just like you said, break down that wall, and then we could all maybe just like treat each other as human beings. I'm like, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I do think for me that like on the surface, Prison School can seem like a very, very, very fan servicey manga and story, like so many others, but it is not like those stories at all. I feel like the fan servicey moments, like I mentioned before, are very purposeful, and it is telling a story about and exaggerating what it feels like to be a high school boy, maybe having recently gone through puberty, or still like coming into your own, being forced into a facility with what feels like an overwhelming amount of women that maybe you have never been around before, while having these like new feelings, I guess, and your friend group. And that's also what I liked about there only being 5 guys there, because for people like that who are so tunnel vision, you know, there might be other guys at the school, but sometimes it feels like it's just you and your friends. Like it's just you guys there. It's just you guys and women, and the girls. And so again, it's like, it's really taking a lot of these things and exaggerating them in a very fun way. Yeah, sure. There is masochism and fan service. It's got all that. And I've seen some panels too, not understanding anything about the context of them, completely out of context, that do seem crazy. And I can only imagine that it's going to go to crazy, raunchy places. But you know, I mean, I actually ended up enjoying this a lot more because I was one of those people that thought, okay, yeah, Prison School people want us to read it or watch it because it's going to be shocking, or because it's going to be,
it's like another Monster Musume.
Right. But there was something to be said. There was a story to be told. Not to mention, again, like we mentioned earlier, that it does feel like you're really watching or reading, in this case, like a prison break story. And again,
you kind of forget.
That
you're like, oh, this is like a school.
the fan service and the yiddies and all that is very secondary to what's happening. And unlike Fire Force, like, it serves a purpose. And I liked it. I liked
it more than I thought I was going to.
Me too, dude. And I'm so curious, like you said, to see where it goes. I know, like I said, it's going to get raunchier, but you know, I'm here for that too. But you know, and probably there will, I'm sure, be other moments that are like way more shocking than what we experienced. But I'm excited to see where the story goes past, you know, where we read and where the characters go. And I'm pretty invested. I'm pretty invested.
And let us know. I mean, not like heavy spoilers, but like if it is worth continuing, if these like what we think are like kind of like underlying story elements like continue to go on and just not become like a really ridiculously raunchy manga for no reason, because that could happen too.
That could very well happen. And look, some people might be watching or listening to this and thinking like, damn, you guys really, you know, are reaching or looking a little too deep into this, you know, story about yiddies. And
I thought, well, I wouldn't have if I didn't read this freaking interview, and I'll find it and put it in the description, because it really, like, I was just expecting face value. If I had known this, I would have been like, yeah, that's what I thought. It just really opened my eyes. I didn't expect to feel that way about this thing. And I wouldn't say these things if I was like, if we were just like reaching, you know? But yeah. I mean, took me by surprise too. I think it's safe to say it took you by surprise as well. Are you doing a mime thing now? Is that what you're doing? I mean, I guess your outfit does kind of make you look like a mime, I guess. Anyway, that is going to do it on our Prison School Volume 1 discussion, like we mentioned in the very beginning of this episode. If this video gets to 200 likes, then we will react to any episode, or the most, I guess, requested episode of the anime on our second channel, Volume 1 Plus, which you can subscribe to if you haven't already. Let us know also your thoughts in the comments down below. If you've read it, if you've watched it, let us know, like, if you read it or watched it, which way you consumed it, or both. If you did do both, which you preferred, where the story goes, like in terms of not plot specific details, but if it does continue to still kind of speak to a lot of these things, or if it does, like Mehgan said, just become a crazy raunchy, you know, story for no reason. Let us know any and all thoughts and how you feel about Prison School in the comments down below.
Yeah, we're trying to tighten these things up, keep them a little bit shorter. I know we can't make everybody happy. Some people want them to be longer. Some people want less banter, more banter. You can't please everybody. So let us also know how you felt about this structure, if you'd like to see this same kind of structure going forward. But that's going to do it. The only thing left to do before we get out of here is thank our wonderful, beautiful, amazing Patreon and YouTube members. Thank all of you guys from the bottom of our hearts for your support.
Thank you.
Your support is the only reason that we're able to do all the things that we're able to do. You give us the financial freedom to have the time it takes to record as many videos that we do and, talk about and edit and have the equipment to do what we do. I mean, you guys are the backbone of our channel, of Volume 1. You guys are the best. So thank you guys again for choosing of your own free will to support us. It absolutely means the world. You are changing two people's lives. It means the absolute world to us. And we will be always eternally grateful for your support. So thank you again. If you're not a Patreon or YouTube member and you do want to become one, all you got to do to become a Patreon member is go to patreon.com/volume1pod. And all you got to do to become a YouTube member is click join somewhere next to the subscribe button on this video. That gets you early access to all of our videos, uncut, unedited, uncensored versions of our anime reactions, and access to an exclusive bonus video and audio podcast called Volume 1 Extra, where we talk about anything and everything. Right now, as of this recording, that's all available to you at our lowest tier based on, whatever you can and are willing to give. So if that interests you, again, it helps us out a lot. And Volume 1, patreon.com/volume1pod to become a Patreon member, clicking join somewhere next to the subscribe button to become a YouTube member. But if you are not in a place or position currently to financially support, or if it's just not your style, and you just flat out don't want to, then that's totally okay, because there are plenty of other ways you can show your support and help us out for absolutely free. That mean just as much that Mehgan will tell you all about right now.
Yes, if you're doing hard time in this moment and you don't have any money to spare to us, don't worry. No worries at all. You could do so many things for free. You can comment on this video, like this video, or even subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. It really does help us out so much. And it helps our videos go far and wide across YouTube. And it really does help us so much. We also have social media too. We have Twitter, Instagram, and a wonderful Discord community. If you want to go check those out. That'll be linked in the description below. And I will try to link that article interview as well, because I mentioned it a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you so much for any and all ways you choose to show your support. That's going to do it for another Volume 1, a return to form in a way, a classic Volume 1 episode, Prison School. The only thing left to do now is to get out of here on our outro that is always the same and never changes, which today, Mehgan, is freeze. No. I was gonna, because because it's about a group of perverts, so I was gonna maybe say something perverted, because it's kind of on
freeze.
We don't have to say freeze. Lock them up. Some dudes need to chill. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Something about
lock them up.
Lock them up. Lock up the perverts.
Lock up the perverts.
Lock up the perverts. The overly perverted. It's okay to be a little perverted. I just want to say that too. It's completely normal and healthy to be a little perverted, a healthy amount of perverted.
But just don't.
But when we say perverts, yeah, don't involve anybody else. We're just talking about the overly perverted. So when we say lock up the
peeping toms. Lock up the peepers.
Lock up the peepers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Lock up the peepers. All right. Let's that's I think more on brand too. Yeah. For this series. Okay. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for any and all ways you choose to show your support. And until next time, lock up the peepers.
Lock up the peepers.